friend, thanks for being here. I've been getting some really beautiful comments from you, thank you, and a lot of interest in the 100-day drawing project that I've talked about in a previous video. And I had a really interesting comment that I want to address today because it's something that has come up for me before in my life. I'm going to read out the comment to you now. This person writes, I love that people are doing these 100-day drawing challenges and make such great art, but what I don't understand is how it always feels so hard or such a daunting task. A person who wants to become an artist and get into a career in art is going to be drawing every day of their life. They're going to be in a job where they sit at a desk, draw for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Okay, I'm just going to jump in here. I am a professional artist and I can tell you that would be great, but I'm not drawing. My job, I draw about 50% of the time. The other 50% of the time is writing invoices, writing quotes, chasing invoices, emailing, all the rest of the admin that comes with work. Revisions, that's a side note. They continue. I get that people have real jobs and that drawing is their hobby, but a hobby or becoming what you love to do in life shouldn't feel hard to do. You should wake up wanting to do it, loving doing it, and need to do it. Do what you love to do. Don't force yourself to do something you find hard to accomplish or makes you start feeling like it's work. Totally agree. And I envy you so much if you're able to get up and do what you love. Like, that is amazing. And that's what the goal is for us, right? We all want to be able to just live a life where we get up and we just do what we want to do and we love it. How good. I also wish I was the type of person who could be like, I really like doing this thing. I'm just gonna do it. So I have some thoughts on that. Because aside from the fact that there are other factors in play why somebody might not want to get up and do the thing that actually they have in their heart that they want to do. And that can be all kinds of things like mental illnesses, depression, anxiety, executive function challenges, which is common with ADHD, overwhelm, exhaustion, stress. And then there's general life where sometimes you might have to travel, or sometimes the kids might need something from you, or all these different things that people need, and it pulls you away from what you love doing. Sure, we all have days like that. But for me, it's perfectionism, and it's been a real burden. It's funny because this comment is very similar to something an ex once said to me. Maybe that's why they're an ex. They said, if you want to do it so bad, why don't you just do it? Why do you get so worked up about it and then not do it? Why? Yes, Rhiannon, why? Why? I have this thing where I want to do something, but what if it's not very good? What if, because it's not very good, that means I'm not very good? What if I'm identifying as an artist and then I show up and it's like not very good art and I can't call myself an artist anymore, which isn't true, by the way? Then what do I do? Then who am I? What is my identity? Yes, I'm well aware that I overthink a lot, but today I want to share what the journey is like, the creative journey, shall we say. And every artist or writer or person who goes through some kind of creative process will probably be familiar with this, where you have this amazing idea and you go through the creative process to get to the idea at the end. And I'm going to draw it out because that's more fun. Let's draw. So here is me starting the 100-day drawing challenge. And here's our end result of drawing for 100 days in a row. So this is kind of how it goes. We start out thinking, yeah, can do this. There's an element of possibility. There's a kind of excitement about starting the new creative journey. Yeah, you're right. I love drawing. I love creating. I want to become this artist that I have in my mind. This is a great way to begin that journey. And then you start. And the starting has always been the most hardest thing for me. Most hardest? The hardest. And I already explained in the 100-day video about how I navigated that, how I overcame starting, and the idea behind starting with the post-it, using a really small goal as being the win. And that worked really well. Once you've started, you get into it, you're like, okay, I'm doing it. But it's actually harder than I thought. It's actually, it feels good to be doing it, but at the same time, it's a little bit disappointing because what you're seeing in your drawings or what you're creating might not match what you had in your head. What I am creating sometimes feels like it's not actually very good. It's not as good as I want it to be. I know it can be better, and this is where practice comes in, right? But it can be really discouraging, and it can be enough of a deterrent to stop. I have done that in the past where I will start something, think that it's a great idea, get really excited about it, and then when it's actually not as good as I think it's meant to be, I will stop and not come back to it. And then we end up with a lot of creative projects that have been started and left for months at a time. So the great thing about the challenge was that I wasn't allowed to stop. I didn't give myself that permission because it's the goal of 100 days. It was like, yes, I would normally stop here because I'm disappointed by what I've done, but let's try again tomorrow. And that really helped to break through that mental barrier that I had. But meanwhile, as you keep going and as you keep seeing what I saw as evidence of not good work, more and more not good work every day, disappointing yourself more and more every day, it can become very discouraging. And that's where I start to have thoughts like, am I even an artist? Should I even be pursuing this goal? Is this journey even for me? Maybe I'm meant to do something else. Maybe I'm just not good at it. All these intrusive thoughts that are not helpful, and I don't recommend, because you end up in this pit of despair, which is, here we are in the bottom, where everything is dying. We'll add some flies in there. It stinks. You just sit there feeling like you suck. This sucks. So we're in the pit of despair, and it's funny, I can think of the whole 100-day project and it being a bit like that curve that we're seeing, but also individually each time I go to do an artwork. And fair due, the more I do it, the less that happens as much, but it still happens, unfortunately. And that's probably really disappointing to hear, that doubt and that feeling of, this isn't what I thought of in my head just never goes away, it's actually part of the process. You have to learn to befriend this behavior or the disappointment of seeing the things that you're creating isn't what you're seeing in your mind, and then roll with it, because if you stop, then that's where it ends, right? But if you carry on, you can pull yourself out of the pit of despair and find that joy again in a different way that you didn't know about before. So the way I climb out of the pit of despair is the art process in itself. It's why I continue to choose to show up, because yes, on one side we have things that are disappointing me because it doesn't look like what I set out to do. But the flip side of that is that you discover things you didn't know would show up. Like when you end up drawing something and it looks like something completely different and you're frustrated, but actually when you look at it, it kind of looks like a flower instead of an elephant or whatever it is that you're drawing. And turns out that flower actually looks kind of cool. And maybe you work with that, and maybe the drawing goes in a different way and you end up creating something that you had no idea would come out of your brain that day, and you couldn't have imagined getting there when you sat down. It's fun for me because I don't know what's going to come out of the pen today until I sit down and do it. And I can have an idea in my head, but it always goes in a different way. And yes, I can get sucked into the pit of despair with that, but I can also pull myself out of it and enjoy where it's going and kind of just surrender to it and allow that process to happen and have fun with it and see where we end up. And I love that when I sit down to draw, I end up being in such a different place or a different position than when I started that I would never have imagined when I first sat down. And I guess that's why I like art. It's the discovery, it's the surrender, it's an exploration. We're all explorers. We're on an expedition to an exhibition. No, Rhiannon. The happy mistakes and unforeseen discoveries. You've probably heard of a happy mistake before, and it's really fun when you think you've messed up and you're really kind of initially frustrated or discouraged, but then you come back at another time and you're like, actually, yeah, I can see this working. I think it looks pretty good, or I could work with that. And often it just takes me being in a different mood, going away, feeling refreshed, coming back after a walk or the next day, and I can see things in a completely different light, and it makes me want to carry on. And now we colour. I hope that this understanding of the creative process helps you to start your own challenge or keep up your own drawing and your own art, to get past that point of the pit of despair that we all experience, and just know that it gets better. And if it doesn't, keep going, because it will. It does. I'm proof. It's what I discovered through 100 days of drawing in a row. And I have to keep reminding myself of that, because I can get really easily sucked into that pit of despair and just want to sit there and wallow and just accept that I'll never be this artist, even though I work as one and I have all this evidence to show myself otherwise. The mind is an amazing thing that I am just here to observe and laugh at and share with you. But thank you for your comments and your engagement. It is so rewarding for me, because it means hopefully you're getting a lot of value out of this work and me sharing my process. And just knowing that means the world. So please like and subscribe, because it helps me to keep showing up. It's interesting because how ironic that today I've done a drawing on the creative process, and those feelings of this isn't your best work are coming up. I feel like this isn't my best work. I liked the one from last week more. Ah well.